How impressive were the Cowboys to you yesterday?
This was. I would just give it. I'll give it a number first, and then get into it.
All right.
And I'm going to give that number at a 7.5 to me.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why I say only a 7.5. Because I still saw so many things left on that football field yesterday that they still have room to improve on. I can start off with Dak. Because Dak missed those first few throws. I was in that stadium. I was like, man, those first two. I love the mentality that they came out with. We're coming out aggressive right now. And they went right up the field. So I like that. I give them a 7.5 for that. But the reality is, the Cowboys are 9-2 all time on Thanksgiving against this team. So they're comfortable having some success against this team. So I'll give them that. But also, why I say only a 7.5, that was washed. And I'm already predicting Greg and Skip all keep going to say that was only Washington. So we go a 7.5 because it's only Washington. Now, all of that will stop now as we move forward and get ready to get into these next few games. I told you, as a spiritual man, all that thing that happened yesterday. I want to share something with you guys. This morning I walked in, and the makeup lady gave me this picture right here. You guys got to see this picture, man. I got really emotional with this picture. This was the last time we had a parade at Dallas after the Super Bowl. Out of the blue, she gave me this picture. I happened to be reading this book by our Esquire called God Winks. He talks about all the things that God sends you, that he sends you to let you know the direction in which you're headed. We call these things a coincidence. But, buddy, it's God winking, saying, you got a parade coming back in Dallas again. I didn't plan this when I walked in. My makeup lady gave this to me. I said, God is winking this morning. That's just heaven dropping manna to all of us Cowboy fans, telling us, this time it is for real. I'm taking it like that, Greg. That's what I see.
All right, Greg, bring some perspective to this, please.
Look, for me, yesterday's performance for the Cowboys was a strong 9. I know, Irv, you probably are going to be a little tougher on them. But for me, watching that game, you're not going to be perfect. And no one expects this team to be perfect right now. However, with them playing the teams that they've played, you can only provide what you have against the teams that are on your schedule. And with that being the Commanders on Thanksgiving, they beat the stuffing, as you mentioned, out of the Commanders. Look, Dak Prescott, did he miss some throws? Of course. But he has been lights out. 22 of 32, obviously over 300 yards with the touchdowns. And I think what was most impressive is it wasn't just solely about CeeDee Lamb. We're seeing other guys step up and make plays within the course of these games in this offense, and they're dictating the terms of how they play the game and how the teams have to now respond. They're not having to respond to how teams play them. They are flat out dictating the terms of in which they want to play this football game. And with that being said, on the opposite side of the ball, your defense can now play with the lead. The Cowboys, they lead the league in first quarter points. Like, this is a team, we talk about fast starts. They start fast. They're going to score the football in the first quarter. They close out the half very well. They're only second behind Kansas City with, I think, 11.5 points in the second quarter. So they close out the half, and then they finish very strong in the fourth quarter. Mike, in this game, it's about how you start and how you finish. The Cowboys have found a way to start games fast and to close games out. And the way you close games out is with a really good defense. And we saw that, obviously, stars making plays. We understand who Micah Parsons is getting after the quarterback. But DaRon Bland, what he's been able to do over the course of this year, and even last year, a lot of people didn't know about who he was. But he's been making plays. Skip, you guys know because this is your team. Like, he's been doing this since he's jumped into this league. And so if they continue to play like this, obviously you want to play your best ball later in the season. I give them a strong 9.
Wow. Greg, you pleasantly surprised me. I thought you'd be more in the 5 range, but we appreciate what perspective you just brought in a good way, because I would like to begin by saying I'll go up to a 9 off yesterday. And maybe I'm slightly overreacting, but I just want people to know the Washington Commanders are a dangerous football team, because they were 3-3 on the road coming into yesterday's game. And I ask everyone to go take hard looks at what they did to the Eagles twice. They took the Eagles to the wire twice. Right. They took them to overtime once, and they took them to the buzzer the other time. They could have won either game, probably should have won both games. My point is, Sam Howell came in leading the National Football League in yards passing. And if you watch carefully, listen, Curtis Samuel is a weapon, and McLaurin is a weapon, and Dotson is a weapon, and Brian Robinson is a weapon. They can move the football. So the incredible thing to me about this game was it was a game for 3 quarters, because it hung right in there at 20-10. And at one point late in the third quarter, they got all the way down to 4th and 1 at Dallas's 39, and they went for it. Michael, as you know, they did this regularly a year ago. They had big explosions in fourth quarters at home against Indianapolis, and one game after another. Detroit came to Dallas and got exploded on in the fourth quarter of a close game. It's hard to score 25 in a quarter, and yet if you look at the time of possession yesterday, Washington had the ball for 37 minutes to Dallas's 23 minutes. 37-23? Right. Well, if I told you that yesterday on this show, that Washington was going to control the ball 37-23, you would have said, uh-oh, we're in big trouble.
We lost. We lost that game. We lost that game.
We lost. We beat them 45-10 because of our quick strike capability. We were scoring so quickly, boom, 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 that we didn't need to hold on to the ball too long. And then obviously it all got capped off by the NFL record 5th pick 6 by DaRon Bland. We'll get deeper into that in a few minutes. But the explosive, I keep saying, this is the most explosive team in pro football. And it exploded in the fourth quarter. Once again, it actually exploded in the fourth quarter a week ago at Carolina, because it wasn't even a week ago, it was 4 days ago at Carolina. So that means the last 2 fourth quarters, this team has won by a combined 41-0 in the fourth quarter. And to me, look, Dak can play better. I've seen him much sharper than he was yesterday. But when he did finally, I thought he was a little overamped at the first, because he overthrew CD and he overthrew, who was it? I think it was Brandon Cooks. Yeah, he overthrew Brandon Cooks on a deep ball. Both of them were open at that point. But then let's quickly see his 4 touchdown passes, if we could, just to say and show that he did settle in. And all of a sudden, I'm not sure anybody's playing any better quarterback than this. This is the quick swing pass to Dowdle, and he just took it in. Michael, Dowdle's starting to look like a force to me. I don't know about you.
He started He started to look like a force.
Yeah, and here's Brandon
But also, Skip. Yeah. Skip, also around the same time that Tony Pollard, who's got back-to-back touchdowns right now, he's starting to come around. He has 79 yards, probably one of his best days. Yeah, and remember, that was little Kevontae Turpin, and that did my heart good. That may have been Dak's best throw of the day, was that last touchdown pass. Listen, Turpin's the fastest guy on the field every time he steps onto the field, and they have not figured out exactly how to utilize him in the offense. And all of a sudden, it's starting to look like he and Dak are starting to find some wavelength on deep balls, because, Michael, I don't know anybody who can run with him. He is, remember, he was the USFL MVP as a receiver. Go ahead. And I'm going to tell you some, Skip. When I was with those guys passing out, giving those guys a jacket, I mean, the intensity that this kid brings and the hope that he gives these guys. They were all talking about, man, we all want to get on the kickoff return team with him so we can be a part of what we know he's going to accomplish. I'm going to tell you some, Skip, one of the things you were talking about when you talked about how they exploded in the fourth quarter. I'm sitting at that game, and I'm waiting. As that game was 20-10, and my thoughts were, boy, they took the Eagles to overtime. Here we go. I don't want to. I'm saying, man, I don't want to go down this road. You know what? I never worried. I never felt like boy, I don't like it. This is going to get away. I've sat in that building many a days, and I was like, I'm not comfortable with this.
Yeah,
I'm not happy with this. This is not good enough. They're going to ultimately end up losing this game. At 2010, I would say they're going to end up losing this game. I didn't say that. I did not say that. I didn't have those thoughts because I felt no matter what Washington did, as you just said, Skip, we're explosive enough to get back in the game. And that's truly one of the first times that I really had that feeling like, okay, I think we'll be okay now.
Yeah, okay. So, Greg, from a distance, are you seeing this Cowboy team as different than all those that have fallen on their face mask for us before, where you can't trust them in the biggest moments?
Yeah, I really am. And I know that's a lot to say because it's the regular season and we know who they are in the regular season. They're forced to be reckoned with, and they have a lot of highs and low lows when it really matters in the postseason. But I think the common theme here is Dak. Dak is playing with an extreme amount of confidence right now that I think we're dismissing at times, and sometimes we're kind of chirping at him and because of what he said, even a couple weeks ago when he said, we're in our zone. Like, that is, Irv, you know this. When you have a quarterback that gets in that huddle and he believes that whatever play call comes into his helmet, we're going to deliver. You're playing with house money, man. Like, it doesn't matter right now for Dak Prescott. And Mike McCarthy, as a play caller, you can look at your call sheet and just say, you know what, Dak, what you feel like right now. And you believe that your quarterback is going to get it done. You talk about Turpin. You talk about Brandon Cooks. If these guys step up and start to become more of a factor in their offensive scheme and they are utilized properly, I don't know how you stop this attack. Running the ball, yes. Mike McCarthy has never had an offense where they've been a dominant force running the football. So as much as we would like to see Tony Pollard rush the ball for more yards, that's not who Mike McCarthy is as an offensive play caller.
Good point.
They're going to open up the running opportunities by throwing the football. That's what they do. He averaged 6.1 yards yesterday. It was impactful. It was effective. That's what you have to have going into the postseason when the weather starts to change, when you're not at home, when you're on the road potentially at places like Philly, playing against teams that you have to run the ball and establish an identity there. But this team, they understand who they are, both offensively and defensively. And like I said before, they dictate the terms of which you're going to play them.
Greg, and as you brought it up, and I'll skip you guys, what Greg talked about when things are going well and how everybody is playing well, everybody excited about it, the coach play sheet open up. That's because every receiver's like on hot. Anybody can get the ball. Let's go right now. You know what I mean? Because they're so open. And it really is. It feeds itself. It feeds itself because you start competing against each other in the huddle. Like, I'm going to catch this ball, I'm going to catch that ball, which really just perpetuates what you're trying to accomplish. Another thing that we got to talk about. You guys talk about we're waiting to the playoffs to see what Dallas does. At home, and I know what we got going with Philadelphia matter and see what that thing plays out. At home, the Cowboys have won their last 5 games by 20 points or more. And we've never done that. In all the years we won Super Bowls, we've never been able to go 5 straight games winning by at least 20 points. I don't care. This is the National Football League. So any team and a garbage team, you saw what Green Bay did to Detroit yesterday, Greg, and Skip, and we're going to talk about that.
We're about to talk about it.
And we always talk about it. Any team can beat you. To beat 5 teams in a row by 20 points. That's insane.
Michael, you can go farther back because they've won 13 straight at home, and the truth is it's every game has been by an average of 20 a game. So you can go back to 13 in a row. So that's unheard of, right? I mean, who does that? It's big enough to win 13 in a row at home, but by an average of 20? I mean, that's unbelievable. Right. I think the average is 37 to 17 is about the average of it. So, okay, that's insane. And Greg, quickly back to you. You did win a Super Bowl catching passes from Aaron Rodgers on plays called by Mike McCarthy. How did you feel about him as your play caller that year?
Look, Mike McCarthy has always been a really good play caller. I think the knock on Mike at times, and even in the locker room, was we got complacent. He got complacent as a play caller. And so when I talk about them finishing games, a lot of times we would allow teams to get back into games because we didn't really put our foot on the gas and maintain our foot on the gas throughout the course of 4 quarters. And a large part was because of the play calling, him dialing it back. We don't see that. Early in the season, I truly believed that Mike McCarthy and their approach was, we just want to get points.
Yep.
And there's a difference when you approach your offense and you tell them we just want to walk away with points. That means you're going to start settling when you get in the red zone. And I believe that's why they were struggling at the beginning of the season in the red zone and their red zone efficiency. Now you see an offense that they're no longer saying we just want to get points. Right. We want to get 7. We want to score touchdowns. Yeah. And the more they go with that mentality and approach, it just shows me that Mike not only trusts the guys in that huddle, but the guys in that huddle are starting to truly buy in and believe that no matter what play is called, Mike, you said it, we're trying to find out who's going to get the ball. Because we know it's equal opportunity with our quarterback right now. And when you play that way, it is hard for defenses to cover just one guy. Like, again, I can't say enough about the impact that CeeDee Lamb has had over the course of these last few games. But when you start to see Ferguson stepping up, when you start to see guys like Turpin and Cook and obviously Gallup, which he hasn't even gotten it rolling back to before he was injured with his his knee injury. If those guys, again, can be one-on-one, Dak Prescott's he's gonna put the ball where it needs to be. Is he gonna miss some throws? Of course. Every quarterback misses throws. But right now, the confidence, the intensity that they're playing with, the belief in the play caller that's calling in those plays, this team is going to be very hard to beat because you understand they're going to be able to get after your quarterback. You understand going into the game, we can't allow this team to get a lead because that's where they thrive defensively. Now they can sit back, pin their ears, and get after our quarterback, which that puts them at an advantage, not in us at a disadvantage as an opponent. So this team presents a tremendous amount of problems going down the stretch of this NFL season.
Okay. And
one last thing, and I know we got to go. One last thing. And Greg, I just wanted, because I hadn't talked to Greg about this, I thought it was brilliant. At first, I was a little confused when Mike McCarthy came in. He was talking about this complementary football. But now that I look at it and look back on it, I think it was brilliant because I thought what was most important was let's keep down these interceptions until later in the season, before we open it up. Because right now, everybody's talking about Dak being and playing one of the best, and playing his best football. But had he started early with those interceptions, we'd have still been talking about those. Yeah. So he got through the tough. It was a brilliant plan by him when I look back on it now.
And to your point, Michael, Dak has now thrown 23 touchdown passes to only 6 interceptions. And remember, 3 of those interceptions came in the second half at San Francisco when they lost 42-10. Since then, to me, they have found themselves. The most beautiful aspect of yesterday's game was Dak did not throw an interception and obviously did not lose a fumble. And would you believe Dak Prescott, and I'm going to knock on wood before I go into this, would you believe Dak Prescott has not lost a single fumble all year? So no sack fumbles, so no real big turn. He threw 15 picks last year. Now he's sitting at 6 with 3 in that one game at San Francisco. That's how you win championships. That's how you do this. And he is doing it at a high level and continues to talk about what a comfort zone he's in Mike McCarthy's offense. And he keeps using that word, I play free in this offense. I don't know why he didn't play free for Kellen Moore, but in Dak's mind, it's a beautiful comfort zone. So
yeah, but there's a freedom that comes with Skip. Yeah. There's a freedom that comes with knowing, all right, even when you have an offensive coordinator and you guys are talking something up, I don't know if the head guy is with it. But now the head guy and you are talking it up. So that means all power you have because you're talking to the guy with all the power. And that's what he means. You're free now. You're free to play the game like he wants to play the game.
All right, great points by both of you. Appreciate that. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.